was one of the ones selected to go. There was a number of tests. There was medical for a start, to make sure that you were healthy enough. There was an IQ test. They wanted you to be above average, because you were going out to Australia. You were representing Scotland. I went to Mr. Mack and I said, Mr. Mack, I don't think I want to go to Australia. And he just said, too bad, you're going. And that was it.
We were told that our parents were killed during the war. I just hated the place, I hated the atmosphere, I just hated the country, it was miserable, cold, and it was just, I lived in an atmosphere of fear, and I just wanted to get out, go somewhere, as it were,
I was taken out and taken into London and told that I was going to be sent to South Africa and to join my cousins in South Africa. When the ship berthed in Melbourne, I was told that I was to get off, and I just kept saying, no, I'm not, I'm going to South Africa to visit my family. I was taken to a cottage and where there were 12 other children, so I waited quietly, very quietly, because this was all going on around me and I didn't know what was going on. And I waited for someone to come and collect me and put me in the right place. But of course it never happened. And so you have to toughen up and become part of the orphanage scene. Disciplined, and some of the discipline could be really, really cruel. When I say that, the strap was common practice. Standing in a corner in the dark for a long, long period on your own of a night time if you talked in bed was terrible, not kind. And there were many things that, were seen as the norm in those days, which would have an effect on you for the rest of your life.
We were playing a football match, an Aussie rules football match. My brother was playing in one of the teams, I'm not exactly sure who he was playing for anyway. He started to abuse one of the brothers, or dispute. I don't say abuse, dispute the brother about certain decisions, and anyway what happened was this particular brother ended up kicking him and bashing him all over the field, and that really tore me to pieces, and he just kicked and bashed him.
It was the first time that I experienced sexual abuse by an adult. I didn't know. I was too scared to say to anyone that I had been attacked by this bloke. And I find it, even now, I find it difficult to talk about.
was the most frightening day of my life, because I had the impatience of a snake. You know, I had no tolerance whatsoever. I hated Christmas, even when I was married. It took me about 14 years to come to terms, because I was brought up in an atmosphere of, how can I put it, of paternal ignorance, and I was full of anger, full of despair, frustration, and to cope with a family, you know, it was just beyond my, you know, capabilities at the time.
I say people didn't understand me, but I think also I didn't understand them. I'd never come from a family home. I had lived in it, you know, I had lived in family homes here and there, but I was always the hanger-on, the outsider. I don't blame the people that I worked with. I blame both our inabilities to communicate at the same level. I was being labelled a problem because a combination again. I didn't understand what they were talking about, and they didn't understand me. They're dealing with someone who didn't have anyone to support him, and that's hard. That makes it very difficult for me, but it also I recognise that it makes it difficult for them too.
Always in the back of my mind was, when we first found Mum, was whether she would accept or reject us. We had a two-way hookup here, three-way hookup here, my brother and Margaret Humphries in Perth with my mother, regarding our mother, and she said, the first word she said to us was, I want my boys home. That floored me. That absolutely floored. In her circumstances, it was just absolutely, she was in a situation where she couldn't cope, and she put us in the orphanage. And from words with Mum, when I first met Mum, the thing that she said to us later on, when I got to speak to her privately, was the fact that she thought that we were adopted out to a rich Australian family. I wouldn't know what a family was about anyway. But it took me probably about a couple of weeks before I started to warm to her. You haven't seen your mother for over 50 years. It's pretty hard to sort of people come in and say, oh, you found your mother, great. But when you've built up this wall, you know, that she's dead and she's been away for so long, you just adapt to that condition and you just carry on with life. It wasn't a simple process, it was a gradual process. So I cherish the moments. They are precious moments to me, because I was fortunate in the sense that I met her, and to have 7 weeks out of over 50 years where some fellas, or the migrants that do came out and had parents and never had the chance to meet them through circumstances beyond their control. That's the hard part. It made me think, it's not about me only. There are other people who are hurt.
I was impressed with Kevin Rudd, our Prime Minister at the time, for having the fortitude and guts to publicly apologise. It meant a lot, because that's accepting what has happened as the truth, and the harm and the pain that had been caused to so many children from abuse in orphanages. So that was really very, very good.
I had the pleasure of sitting up in the House of Commons. Went round and sat in there, and I thought to myself, you know, I'm part of history here. I'm sitting probably in the very same seat that some of these politicians made decisions about our futures. To be able to walk into that house and not think after 60, 50 odd years, you know, that the chickens come home to roost. One of its own children, lost children, comes home. Here we are, righting a wrong that happened so many years ago, and I, as a victim, have the, how can I put it, humble pleasure of sitting there, you know, where decisions were made that ruined many a life. It was certainly a great honour and a privilege to go, and it's certainly one of those moments in my lifetime I will never forget.
You hear people say, "Oh, not all the institutions were that bad." You know, I mean, some kids were treated very well. And I say, yes, that's true. But there's something that they all missed out on, and it was simply not available. Most children, it is available, and that's love. That's the love of a family. And love from people who are raising you. We didn't get love. There was no such thing. They couldn't afford to give love. I still struggle with the understanding of what it is, because I never got it, and I was never able to give it. I could never share. I could never say to someone, "I love you," because it just wasn't there. You didn't. Yeah, there was no point.